today's episode, I want to explain to you about the exposure triangle. So the exposure triangle is made up of 3 of the main settings on your DSLR camera. That would be ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. So I've linked the videos to each of those separate settings and how they work. But today I want to explain how they work with each other. So in this graphic you can see at the 3 corners we have the ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. So what happens is when you adjust one of them, you usually have to also adjust another one to kind of compensate for that. So for example, so let's say you're taking a picture outside and it's really, really bright out, and you need to adjust your ISO. So if you were to lower the ISO as low as it can go, so you're at 100, but it's still just way too bright. The other thing that you can do is you could raise your shutter speed. So if you raise your shutter speed faster, what that's going to do is that's going to let in less light, and then it's going to help offset that ISO. So you will end up with a better exposed picture. Another example would be if you are trying to take a picture, let's say you're doing senior pictures and you want to get a really good photo of the senior with the background really, really blurred. What you might do is make your aperture, your f-stop, as wide open as possible. So if you have it set at a 1.4, what's going to happen is that picture is probably, especially if it's in daylight, is going to be very, very bright. So you can do one of 2 things. You can either adjust your ISO or you can adjust your shutter speed. So with a really low aperture, a wide open aperture, you could either lower your ISO to let in less light, or you could raise your shutter speed, which will also let in less light. Let me give you one more example of how the exposure triangle works. So let's say you're at your kid's soccer game and you want to take really good pictures of the kids, you know, running around, kicking the ball. You have to make sure that your shutter speed is set fast enough to capture that movement without it being a blur. When you raise the speed of your shutter, what's going to happen is less light is going to come in. So again, you have to compensate for that. So to do that, you would either raise your ISO to let more light in, or you could also lower your aperture. So by lowering the aperture, making the lens more open, it's going to let in more light as well. So hopefully that gives you a better understanding of the exposure triangle. Again, make sure you check out our videos on ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, which I've linked below, and those should give you a better overview of getting started with your photography.
Thanks for watching this video.
Guys.
Make sure you stay connected with Urban Rhino on social media. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, comment below, and of course, subscribe to our channel.